Brian Kenny has the ball game for us tonight with that special broadcast. Hopefully everybody gets a chance to chat. And he says, hello, Brian, nice to talk. Good to have you with us here. And let's do a big picture thing first. This is a very crucial time for the Phillies. They're ways back of the Braves and the Mets. They've played really well. They're 18-7 since Rob Thompson took over. But, you know, they are still ways behind. They don't play the Braves that great. The Cardinals come in. They got 7 games in St. Louis here in the next 2 weeks, and they have Harper out for 6 weeks. They're going to be a little flat without him. This is a very crucial couple games here against Atlanta. Let's start with the big picture first. Let me hear your thoughts. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think it's you get the picture accurately. Without Bryce Harper, they're not special. It's a special offense. They have to outslug people. I was watching them last night, dog. I got into town. I was just watching the game. They're not good on the run into they're one of the defensive league, but that lineup is real, and that they can outslug you. Without Harper, they're not near as strong. Kyle Schwarber is a big threat, but if Nick Castellanos isn't crushing it, and he's not, he's hitting about league average right now. He didn't look too sharp last night, just not the imposing figure that he's been the last few years. And if Rhys Hoskins is just doing okay, and Hoskins is doing fine, but not great, well, they're a good team, but they're not a great team. They've got to be able to outslug you, and they're not better than the Braves and Mets. That's the thing. They're in a division that's very competitive. Braves and Mets are good clubs. You know that. They're not better than those two clubs without Harper.
100%, and they dug themselves a hole, and so as a result, and it was 17-7 since Thompson, not 18, but they dug themselves a hole, Brian, and when you dig yourself a hole and you play great to get out of it, but at the end of the day, it only leaves you 3 or 4 games over 500, and then you lose your slugger, that's crisis time. Because you're not going to play that great forever, and that's where the Phillies are right now in the NL East. And you make an excellent point. They're not catching the Braves or the Mets, so that means they're going to basically, if you look at those two, that means they're going to be fighting the Giants and Milwaukee, St. Louis for one last spot in the postseason. And for the next 6 weeks and beyond, no Harper. Let me hear your take on that. Go ahead.
Well, you bring up an excellent point. Like, all that is true. We're in agreement. And then yet look at your wild card standings, which are up there. So they're 3 back. Like that for Philadelphia to make a wild card series, I think you would agree at this point in their franchise is a success. Like if it's the Yankees, no. If it's the no every year, you've got to do better than that. If Philly just makes a series, and this is no longer a 1-game wild card, dog, you're not just on the road for 1 game. It's a different situation. I think it's worth shooting for. They are. They're this close. They're a top 5 payroll. So it's worth it. It's more exciting this way for them to push in and say, no. For us to get even that last spot is worth it for us in our franchise.
100%. They need to make the playoffs, and it is a best of 3 instead of the best of 1, so I like that, too. Atlanta's played well. I know you like this Michael Harris, but the Braves, they did lose 2 out of 3 to L.A., but they bounced back yesterday. They've been very, very good for a long period of time. They're going to get reinforcements. Soroka eventually is going to pitch. Ozuna's going to get a little better as the year goes along. He missed the whole season. And Olsen feels comfortable. 2 big home runs last night. I mean, the Braves are very, very good right now. Let me get your feel on them. Go ahead.
They are a good club, dog. You and I, again, we're in agreement. We might as well just, if we're agreeing, this is an easier segment for you. I was watching the Braves when I was calling a game with them about a month ago. And I said it to Dan Plesac, who I'm calling the game with again tonight. And I said, if I didn't know the standings, I'd say this is a team that's 10 games over 500. And same thing as I look at them now. And now they are 11 games over 500. I look at them. They roll out so much quality. The culture is a winning culture. They don't panic. They just have very good players. They've done this for the last 10 years, like through this whole run with Freddie, but also now Dansby Swanson, Austin Riley. They field, they run the bases well. They don't give up extra bases. They take extra bases. And that's why I wanted to bring up with Michael Harris. Michael Harris going into center field puts Acuna and Duvall on the corners. Acuna, when he comes back, I know he's a little banged up, he fouled the ball off his foot, but when Acuna and Duvall are on the corners, they're superior corner outfielders. So the defense gets great there. Now, 20-year-old kid, dog, outstanding defensive center fielder. And last night, you would have loved this. I know you'll have shades of DiMaggio. He's on first base. There's a fly ball to right field. He tags up and takes second base, later scores on a single. He wouldn't have scored otherwise. So, he just drops, and you're watching it right now. How often you think you see a guy in front and he takes second. Harris has that kind of speed. It adds another dimension to this team, which is kind of home run centric.
100%, and the Braves have a winning culture. I like that most of all. Now, the broadcast tonight has got a special feel to it. How do you do these games? I'm interested in this StatCast nonsense. How do you do these? Are you doing a show? How do you do this tonight? When I put the game on, am I going to get a normal Joe Garagiola, Dick Enberg broadcast from 1982, or am I going to have to turn the sound down? Let me get a little. Go ahead. Let me get a little feel.
I don't know you like Tim McCarver, 1983. How about that? We try to do it.
Yes.
It's not a StatCast. It's to showcase, I speak a slightly different language from you, but it's the language now of the industry of ball. But it's not math class. It's not StatCast centric. We'll use StatCast if applicable, if we want to try to measure things specifically with certain players, like, say, Matt Olson's defense. There's a number of metrics to look at. You can watch him in certain ways and say, wow, his defense is not up to the standards that it's been the last few years. So if you're looking at that, I might use outs above average, which is the StatCast metric. You just use all the latest tools. But, dog, we're just calling the ball game. I promise you. The count, the outs, the score.
So, I hear from Plesac. I hear from Plesac a little bit tonight. I get a chance to listen to Danny. Yeah. How about that? You set him up, give him some, set him up little fly balls, hit him home runs.
I let you speak way too much. I'll let Dan speak too. Don't worry. Yeah, I don't want to take this and project it onto Dan now. So I let Dog speak too much. I did it again. My mistake. But no, Dan, he's good on. I saw Larry Boa, our old colleague, yesterday in the stands. Man, I want to talk to Larry. We'll ever know. Hope to see Larry, our old colleague, who's still with the Phillies organization. He scouts other major league teams with Charlie Manuel in the stands and on tonight in Philly.
Looking forward to it, Brian. Good job. Enjoy the broadcast. Thanks for a couple minutes.